Yeah, this is a mid-1980s Mercury outboard, two-stroke, inline 6. And I was having some running issues with it, so I figured I'd try something, and it actually worked out pretty good. I guess it would work on pretty much anything that has multiple carburetors. I wasn't sure if one of these carburetors was getting fuel or not, because it ran, but it just didn't sound right. So I figured I'd try something, and while it was running, I put my fingers over the first carburetor hole to see if I could stall out the engine. Could feel the air suction, and some gas came out and the engine stalled out. I did the same with the second carburetor. Just put my fingers in front of it while it was running. The engine kind of bogged down, stalled out. You could feel the air suction being pulled into the engine. So I knew those two were getting fuel. But then when I got to this bottom one here, I put my fingers here, and the engine actually stayed running. It didn't really make much of an attempt to stall out, and I could feel the air suction, but no fuel was getting into the engine. So with that being said, I kind of knew that this was the carburetor that wasn't getting fuel, and it actually turned out being one of the floats. I decided to change the floats in here because they looked a little worn. But on this bottom one, I guess when I put it in, the float spring must have got stuck on top of where the needle and seat goes. And it must have drained the carburetor dry of gas when I was running it. When I first started it ran fine, then it started running a little crummy. And I think that was the problem, because when I took it apart, I saw the float. It was kind of stuck at the top. I removed it, put it back in, and when I fired it all back up and put everything back together again, pretty much choked out each carburetor. As it was running, it would stall out each time. I would just fire it back up, and that was the issue with the bottom one. Float got stuck and it ran out of fuel, so it was just doing nothing but pulling air. You could feel the air being sucked in with your fingers over it while it's running, but it just won't stall out. But if you're feeding fuel each time you do that, it will stall out. Just a little trick I figured I'd try, and it actually worked. I'll pass it on to everybody else in case they're having the same issue. I guess that's it for now.